What's going on, guys? So today I'm sharing a video on my new most expensive knife I own. All right, this one is from William Henry Knives and it is called the Marlin. It's a model C15. There's only 500 made in the world ever. This was not recently made. These are actually discontinued, never to be made again, I'm sure. And this features some pretty interesting stuff. All right. So before I actually even get into the knife and what it's offering here, I have to tell the story because it is a super unique story. So I was contacted, I want to say at least a year ago, maybe even multiple years. It's been a really long time. But someone had contacted me and said, hey, I have this knife. I don't know what it is. Can you tell me anything about it? And I said, sure. And he sent me some pictures, and I knew right away it was a William Henry knife, but I'm not familiar with their entire catalog. So I had to do some research to figure out which one. And I told them all about it, and they were stoked. They're like, wow, that's so cool. I can't believe it. And so the story was that their sister bought a car, I think off of Craigslist, and this knife was inside the car, like under the seat. So I thought like that was shocking. That was a shocking story because I'm like, that's a pretty cool knife to find under the seat. I mean, you know, you find a knife under the seat, maybe you get a CRKT or something, you know, or a flea market knife, you know, not this. So immediately I felt absolutely horrific for the person who obviously lost it. I don't remember the car, but I don't think it was a luxury car. Like you would think this knife, you know, maybe someone lost it like a Mercedes or, you know, a Porsche or something. So now you have to fast forward, like I said, about a year, maybe 2 years. I don't really recall exactly how long, but this person popped back up and they said, hey, remember me? Remember that knife? I said, yeah, I remember that knife. And they said, I'm interested in trading it. So I said, all right, because they're like, I don't know, the knife is too nice to use. Like, I wish I could just carry it and use it, but I don't do anything with it. It's just sitting there. So I'd like to trade it for multiple cheaper knives, although expensive, but cheaper than this, that I can actually carry and use and stuff. So they can have, you know, a handful of very good, high quality knives. So we went back and forth. We actually agreed on a trade, and then I posted a video on something else, and then they asked me, you know, hey, can I switch? It's no big deal if we don't, whatever. But I, you know, when I do trades, I want people to be happy. So I didn't really care, you know, if they wanted to reevaluate the trade. So we actually changed the trade again. And I picked a couple very nice knives for this one extremely nice knife. So we worked out the trade, and here it is. It finally arrived, and I couldn't be more, you know, stoked about it. It is a very, very cool knife. So there's a lot going on with this knife. Let me go ahead and zoom in. All right, so when I'm talking about this, you can see some of the details here. So first off, again, it's a C15 Marlin, all right? It is a button lock, so it looks like an automatic. It could be converted if you wanted to, but you just depress the button to unlock it, and then obviously it locks open. So first off, our blade here is 3.8 inches. It is a 140 layer rippled Damascus that never repeats itself. And I know it sounds like strange, never repeats itself. It's like a different type of Damascus bar that's a lot longer. So not that it really matters all that much, but it's kind of cool that the pattern doesn't actually repeat. Whereas in some knives, you can have a really beautiful piece of Damascus, but it's the same pattern because it's folded a certain way that it literally repeats itself. So this never repeats, which I don't think anyone really cares about, but it's kind of a cool little detail. Absolutely stunning. It is beautiful. First of all, this knife is razor sharp. Okay, it's very usable, but obviously it's a little bit more of a showpiece. I wish I can bring myself to carrying and using this. I may do that. I may carry it and use it, you know, a handful of times. I'm not going to consistently carry this. But yeah, I mean, it is just an absolutely beautiful piece. If you notice, there are two inserts, which are blue sapphires, all right? It's inserted into the thumb stud here, as well as the button lock. All right, so let me use a light here, kind of give you, there you go. So you actually see some of that color. So sapphire, that's actually housed inside of a gold colored tube, and then it is you know, pressed into these pieces. The gold tube I have to assume is brass. I don't think it's like, you know, genuine gold, or, you know, like 24 karat gold or 18 karat gold, anything like that, just because I feel like William Henry would have mentioned that if there was gold content in here. So I'm assuming it's mounted into a piece of brass tubing and then of course pressed into the knife. But you know, in natural light, like outside sunlight, those things really glisten. In here on the table, you can barely notice that they're there. They just look like little black dots. But those are very, very cool additions to this knife, having little jewels in there. Then of course we have our titanium handle here. The handle is 4.6 inches long, all right, and it is titanium as mentioned. All the hardware is tempered stainless steel. And one of the biggest features are these handle inserts. It's on both sides. And let me zoom in to give you a little more detail on that. This is some really cool fossilized coral, all right? So it's a 100,000-year-old fossil of some coral from an abandoned lime pit, specifically in the Florida Keys. So it's cool that they have the information on where it was sourced. But obviously this is cut, fit, and polished. You can see natural pitting, all right? So they zoom really close. These tiny, tiny little, you know, imperfections or holes, you know, is just a natural finish on that. When you polish it, there's those little tiny voids here and there. But it's really well done. It's very smooth and slick. Very cool pattern though. Really interesting looking. And of course you have the whole ocean theme. That's why it's called the Marlin. And then on the back end here, we have a lanyard, which is very interestingly done. I'm not even sure how they do this, but you have the lanyard piece that attaches it to the actual knife itself. That is 925 sterling silver, all right, which is 92.5% pure silver. There's a little other metals added in for strength. Then we have a little piece of kind of black cord, and then we have a 925 sterling bead on the end. And the bead itself kind of mimics, you know, an old fossil as well. It's just really, really cool. This piece down here does slide, okay? But I don't know how this cord is actually even pressed in there. It's like just, I don't know, it's melted in or pushed in. I really don't know that process. But this is stiff on there. It's not going to accidentally come off. But man, is this thing cool. You can see open frame design. Like I said, I mean, it's very comfortable. It's a very usable knife. You know, you can pull this out of your pocket, swing it open, it's super smooth. You know, actually cut with it, use it. I probably will carry it just to say I carried it. These knives sold for $1,450. That is quite the sticker shock. But you know, if you guys are into William Henry, you'll know that they're all expensive. I mean, most of the cheaper ones are like $600 or $700 for just plain Jane knives, and they go upwards of thousands. They also do other stuff there. I mean, you'll see a lot of like William Henry knives at high-end jewelry stores. You know, I think they do like bracelets and stuff, and of course pens. You know, so it's really just you know, upper crust society. They're trinkets. You know what I mean? You know, if you're sporting a beautiful watch, you want a really nice pen to go with it, maybe a pocket knife. So, although there's plenty of knife nuts that love William Henry, you'll find most of their clientele are people who necessarily don't know much about knives. They just use really unique materials. They use very high-end materials. Their fit and finish is fantastic, and their knives are extremely expensive because of that. But yeah, just a little bit different. I have had 2 William Henry knives now at this point. I've seen multiple knives. I've had a couple on loan way back when, but 2 that I actually owned. Now this will be my third one, and definitely a more expensive one. So yeah, this is currently my most expensive knife in my collection at $1,450 when it was available. Of course, the price would go up a little bit from there. Who knows exactly what it would be worth. It's really only worth what someone's willing to pay for it if I were to sell it. But I don't plan on selling it anytime soon. It's just another nice piece for the collection. Maybe use it as a trade offering for something that's super, super expensive one day. Wink, wink, a Benchmade 49. If someone happens to have one and really wants this folder instead, I would certainly do that trade. But, you know, other than that, it's just a really cool piece to have. You know, you never know. It's a nice little bargaining chip. But yeah, I thought this was really, really cool. I wanted to share this with everyone. I love when, you know, custom knife makers and higher end production knives, they use really interesting materials. Like I said, I've never seen this fossilized coral. I mean, it's just kind of amazing. You have something in your hands here, 100,000 years old. This just blows me away, honestly. I love the unique different materials, natural materials that are used in knives. And ever since the beginning of knives, there's been all kinds of exotic materials used. It just makes it a little bit special. But yeah, I mean, it is a usable knife. Like I said, it's kind of hard to justify carrying it, using it, but these knives they're made to be used. You know, it's pocket jewelry. In this case, it's quite literally pocket jewelry, being that most people buying it or getting it from jewelry stores. But it is just super, super cool. So yeah, it's just one of those things, who knows, but as far as like trades, you know, I've always wanted a Rockstead, maybe in the future, that work out with someone, some kind of a trade like that. I don't have a whole bunch of very, very like, you know, $1,000+ knives. There's a couple floating around here and there, but very, very rare for me. You know what I mean? That's a very, very expensive knife. When you can go out and buy a beater car, depending on where you live. Here in Pennsylvania, you can't get a car worth of crap for $1,000 or $1,500, unfortunately. But many places across the U.S. you can. I hear the stories all the time. There's definitely better places to be buying vehicles, but I mean, just using it as a reference. It's amazing to think like, oh yeah, my pocket knife is worth as much as someone's car. That's crazy. You know what I mean? And the fact that it came from a car is an even crazier story. So the history is kind of cool. It's one of those things where like part of me wants to find the original owner and give it back. I know that sounds nuts, but it's really unfortunate because there's no way I would ever be able to actually verify that. A bunch of people would come forward and be like, oh my God, thank you so much for finding my knife. I never thought I'd find it again. But come on. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to verify that. And by the way, the story itself was just something that was told to me. I can't verify the story either. But that's all I know about it. But it is a very, very cool piece. So I wanted to share with you guys. So that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Write down in the comment section, what is your most expensive knife? I've said this time and time again. It doesn't really matter the value of your knife. If you carry it or if you collect it and you love it, that's all that matters. I know people who have probably $100,000 worth of knife collection and you know, they like them, but they're not obsessed as some of the people I know out there who are getting $100 knives and just, they're in it. They are in the game. You know what I mean? Just because you have money to buy things doesn't necessarily mean that you are really into it or passionate about your hobby. I'm sure the same thing goes with like cars. It's a great reference because everyone loves cars. But you know, there's like some rich people out there and they got a $100,000 car sitting in their garage or 10-car garage in their mansion, and they don't really care that much about it. But there's someone else somewhere that's their dream car, and they would appreciate it so much more. So just because you have expensive stuff doesn't necessarily mean that you're really appreciating it like someone else would, you know. And then there's people who have money to buy expensive stuff and they just don't have the interest, you know. So it takes all kinds. Knife collectors are everyone and anyone. People buying cheap knives, people buying expensive knives, people loving knives, like really loving a knife, getting genuinely excited to get a new knife. And then there's people who buy expensive knives that don't really care that much. It's like, oh yeah, new knife, whatever. And then there's people who just collect them, people who just use them. It's such a diverse hobby. It really is. But anyway, that's it for now. I'm blabbing on here, I'm rambling. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.